Welcome to Terra Tovela Table. I'm Chef Heaven Struthers, and I'm here today to show you how to use farm fresh produce straight from your backyard. I do have a farm to table catering business outside of Seattle, Washington, so I hope you'll enjoy joining me today in learning something new. Today we'll be making mushroom crostinis, roasted salmon with purple potatoes and broccolini, and for dessert, pavlova. All right, let's get right to it. All right, so we're gonna go right into dessert first today. I'm making a pavlova. This is a Russian dessert. This is a meringue that has already been whipped together with sugar, white vinegar, vanilla, and also some cornstarch. And we're doing this first only because it takes about an hour to an hour and a half of baking time, and I want to make sure that this gets all prepared in time when we're all finished with our whole entree and everything else we're serving today. So this is your pavlova mix for your meringue, and we're going to go ahead and start placing it onto the baking sheet. This is a really delicious dessert. It's a lot of fun to do, super easy. It's very kid-friendly because it is delicious and sweet, but also it offers a lot of vegetation, so a lot of fruit, berries, and it will be garnished with some mint at the end and some honey. But children like this, and so do adults. Kind of offers a nice light dessert. It's also not very heavy. And as we're heading into these summer months, it's a great summer dessert as well. So as you can see, I'm scooping this meringue into a pastry bag. And we're going to form little tiny, small little circles here. You can also make this into a large circle as well for a larger party size, but I personally like the smaller portions. Offers something a little bit more easier to serve, and again, kid-friendly, so that size for serving children is a lot easier. I'm gonna make one more. We're gonna make 6 today. This recipe does allow about, I'd say, 10 serving sizes, or 2 really well serving size larger circles. And there we go. We're gonna be done with that for now, and we'll be right back. I'm gonna go put this in the oven. All right, we're heading into our appetizer portion of this today. We're gonna be making crostinis. So right now I have pre-cut some baguettes. It works really well if you kind of let that baguette hang out overnight. Makes it a little bit harder and a little bit easier to slice. And you're gonna be putting it in the oven anyway, so it's gonna be baking and doing its thing. So as you can see, I have 6 slices out already. It's already been pre-sliced. And we're going to dip this in my homemade garlic infused olive oil. This gives a really good flavor and kind of gets your taste buds going. So I'm gonna get this pan, because as I'm rolling it through this olive oil, we're gonna place it on the pan and eventually get it into the oven once we get all of our seasonings ready to go. All right, so there's one. Can be a little bit messy, but I found this trick to be a lot easier than using a brush. I just kind of get a plate, put that olive oil on the plate, and go with it. A lot of times being in the kitchen and having a catering company, we have to move things kind of fast. And so we've kind of come up with our own ways to be a little bit smoother and time efficient in my kitchen. So we've got 6 almost ready here with this garlic infused olive oil. All right, that is done. And now I'm going to add some rosemary right here. This was just picked yesterday. It was harvested from one of the local farmers, which was super exciting to go see. We're gonna just kind of dice up some rosemary. I'm gonna pick it off, make it a little bit easier to cut. That's a really fun thing about working with farmers. My business, we work with 50 local farmers, and you get a lot of color, a lot of fresh ingredients, and sometimes, a lot cheaper too. So we're gonna just kind of dice this up into small, tiny bits. It's a great smell. With what I do, I love flavor and I love color. So you'll see a lot of that on my dishes today. So we've got a little bit of rosemary. We're gonna just kind of sprinkle that on top for some flavor as it cooks in the oven. And then I've got some salt, some sea salt. We're gonna just put that on top. And we're going to put it in the oven. Just for about 20 minutes. And moving on to the next thing. So with this appetizer, we're making a mushroom crostini. So we have these beautiful mushrooms that were also harvested yesterday as well from the farm. We have oyster mushroom, little button mushrooms, and this is just like the fun part of doing what I do. You get to see really unique produce, and they're just absolutely beautiful in every way, shape, or form. All right, so we're gonna cut these mushrooms up, and once they're cut, we will then begin to put them on another baking sheet and roast them as well. Get several different kinds of mushrooms in there today. All right, get these little guys. These are really fun. Super, super tiny, but still delicious. All right, so we'll put this back over here. And next, we're gonna be placing it on another different cooking sheet. All right, so with this, we're gonna just put it on our baking sheet. Just kind of spread it all out. So when it is in the oven, it's gonna be roasted nicely. I'm gonna drizzle some of that garlic infused olive oil on top, just like I did with the crostinis. And I also have some extra garlic cloves right in here that have already been infused and roasted prior to, just for some extra flavor while these mushrooms are being roasted. All right, and that leftover rosemary that we just sliced up, we're gonna top it over these mushrooms. And then we're gonna grab some thyme. So with this thyme, you might be able to see closely, there's some beautiful purple flowers. I don't know if any of you knew that a lot of herbs actually have their own edible flower, but it makes it a lot of fun when you get to be creative and cook in the kitchen, adding lots of color and flavor. So I'm gonna just pull these little leaves off, sprinkle it on top of my mushrooms. Super easy, very fun appetizer to make. This is one of my clients' favorites. The thing with thyme, it is very tiny, so you just kind of want to be careful and gentle that you're just pulling the leaves off and not putting the whole actual twig onto your food. Mostly because when you're serving your food, people don't like to eat those twigs. Make it very, very simple and beautiful. So we're just gonna mix this around I'm gonna add a little bit more of the olive oil, only because I really want this to get a really good flavor and a good roast. So we're gonna add just a tad bit more. And we're gonna mix that around really good. Almost, I guess it's not totally saturated, but every side and tip and end of the mushroom should have the oil on it. So that way when it's cooking, it's getting done. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. And this is gonna go in the oven. We'll be right back. So we're back. I have pulled out the crostinis because those did finish a little bit sooner than the mushrooms. And we're pulling out the mushrooms right now. They've been cooking for about 20 minutes. They are going to need a minute to cool. So I'm going to set those off right here while I get the crostinis ready. With the crostinis, we're going to be putting some goat cheese on top of them as a nice spread. And as you can see, these are cooled off enough for me to manage. So we've got these, and I have a goat cheese spread right here. And we're going to start spreading them. In some locations, you can find this also called a chev. It's basically just a really creamy, smooth, spreadable goat cheese. It's not crumbly. It's very, very soft. Because I work with a lot of farmers, I do have dairy farmers that provide this product for me, which is great. And because it's from the farm, it's super, super fresh. And when you're spreading, you do want to use a utensil that has a flat tip, not sharp. This makes it a little bit easier as well. You can also use a butter knife if you don't have one of these fun spatula type utensils. And now we can start placing some of the mushrooms on top. It should be fine enough to handle. I'm gonna use my mitt to take them off and put them on the cutting board real fast, just so you can get a better image of what they look like after being roasted. I did use some parchment paper just to make it a little easier cleanup and to make it to where my delicious mushrooms don't burn and get stuck onto that sheet. All right, so here we go. We're gonna just place it right on top. Very cute. If you can see, I've kept that shape of the mushroom as much as possible. A lot of times when you are serving at parties, this opens up a great conversation piece to talk about, you know, local produce, but also just the creativity and how things look. All right, almost done plating here. Getting these all set. All right, here's another one right here. They can be a little messy, but it's quite all right. All righty, we got a few bits that are a little extra, which is delicious for a little snack later. And I'm going to go ahead and plate these for us today. I'm gonna use this little fun board. There we go. I think I mentioned earlier I like a lot of color, so we'll be adding some color to these as well today. I like to make my food fun. So, all right, we're going to grab, some of these chives. This is a fresh chive. I don't know if you knew, but they do have a flower. And we're going to sprinkle some of these little chive flowers on top, just to add a little bit of pop and some flavor. It's not too much of a flavor. It is just a flower, but when guests usually take a bite, you can smell that chive. The fun thing about working with farmers and finding edible flowers is there's lots out there. All right, so we're gonna top this with a little bit of salt. And then again, some of this thyme that we used earlier to roast it in. Just to kind of add some extra flavor. There we go, almost done. But as you can also see, it doesn't take very long to make this appetizer. Super fast and super friendly. And we'll be right back with the next thing that I'll be working on, which will be the side dishes for the entree. And we're back. We're gonna head into the next phase of this amazing meal that we're making tonight. I'm making a roasted salmon, but having sides is very, very important. So today we're going to make some broccolini. Again, this just came from the farm. And when you are kind of pruning broccolini, they're very long. They're not what you would find at the grocery store that's been pre-cut. So it's very, very fresh, but it's going to be really important to cut bits of the stem off because it does have a lot of fibers inside and it's kind of hard to eat, or it's not as delicious. So we're going to take off some of these leaves. We can keep some. It's just part of that flavor for broccolini, so you don't want to take everything off. But we're going to just kind of take little bits off here and there and then trim the bottoms. All right, so I have a large knife here. We're just going to kind of cut it about halfway. And if you could see the difference, there's the uncut tip. There's a lot of white in the center, and then since it's been trimmed, it's not as solid white. And that's kind of where you want to keep an eye at while you're cutting. Over time, you kind of get used to that sweet spot on a broccolini, but for those who've never had broccolini, you're learning something new today. All right, so we're just kind of trimming. Take some of these big leaves off. Again, you can leave those leaves on. I just kind of like to take some off, just so that we can have a little bit more flavor soak into the actual broccolini. All right, we're gonna put scraps off to the side and we're gonna get ready to put this on a baking sheet. We're gonna roast those here as well. Here's my baking sheet. I'm gonna plop those right on top. Super easy dish. Again, I'm all about delicious flavor and color, and if you can make something fun and yummy that's super fast, all the better. All right, so now I have this garlic infused olive oil again. We're bringing that back out to the table. We're going to drizzle that over this broccolini. And with this, we're gonna take some lemon. I'm gonna cut some lemon in half. We're gonna squeeze some of that juice on top, because what goes better with salmon? Lemon. So we're gonna squeeze that. We're also going to add a little bit of some lemon zest. So I'm going to use my microplane, make it a little easier for me. And we're gonna zest this lemon and just kind of get it all around. It's a nice refreshing smell as well. All right, you can tap it. Sometimes it kind of gets stuck in between those little teeth. I like mine a little more citrusy, but if you're not really that big of a fan of a lot of citrus, you can decrease. I like to use a whole lemon's worth of zest and about 3/4 of the lemon of juice. This is serving probably about 3 to 4 people, even though it looks like it's very little. With the portion sizes that I usually serve, this will serve a good solid amount for 3 to 4 people. All right, put that aside. And then next we're going to grab some red pepper. Just a little goes a long way. So if you want it spicy, you can add more. I just like it to be just a little to add some flavor and a little bit of a spicy pop. So I would say that's about 2 pinches worth. We're gonna add a little bit of sea salt on top. And with this, we're gonna use some fresh ground pepper as well. Just kind of get that all in. And we're going to just kind of mix it around, making sure that that lemon juice and that olive oil is covering all of the crowns of the broccolini. This is ready to go and be put into the oven for about 20 minutes. All right, and we're back. While our broccolini is baking, we're going to go ahead and move into our second side that I'll be serving today and showing you. I previously boiled some purple potatoes. I don't know if you knew this, it's a really easy trick. Instead of peeling the potatoes, you can boil them with the actual skin on, and it just peels right off once they cool off. And you can use your fingers, you can use a knife just to kind of peel it off. Really simple thing. There you go. Let's trim off some of those brown spots. A purple potato is a little bit different than your average, a russet potato, or a yellow potato. They are soft, not as rough or tough. They don't take very long to cook either. So I boiled these for a good 20-25 minutes, and they are a pretty good size, and they were done, so they don't take too long. But as you can see, there's that vibrant purple color coming through. Again, this came straight from the farm, so very, very fresh potatoes. All right, just kind of clean up my mess here. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of dice these up. See that color in there? It's very, very vibrant, very beautiful. Just chop these up into large bits. We're not mashing it. We're just kind of giving it large slices. It's kind of like that. We're gonna put in this mixing bowl. All right, almost done here with this. Get that little brown spot off. All right. This one was a little bit of a smaller potato, so we don't need as many slices. Alrighty. Okay, so as you can see, there's your potatoes. And I'm about to add the sauteed onions here. Just for that flavor. There we go. And then we're also going to add a little bit of that garlic infused olive oil again. And some salt. And I'm going to dice up some rosemary. So here we have some fresh rosemary. Just kind of pick it off the stem here. Chop that up just a little bit. So we don't want too much. Don't want it to overpower the natural potato flavor or the onion. But we're just adding a little bit in there just for color and a tiny bit for flavor. All right, just kind of sprinkle that on top, and we're going to just kind of stir it around. And this side is done. There we go. We're going to plate this once our salmon is done, and it'll all come together here shortly. And we're back. All right, so as we head into our main entree, which will be our salmon tonight, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the broccolini real fast because it is done. And we're going to leave it on the stove just to cool for now. There we go, while we prep our salmon. So I'm going to put on some gloves because we are dealing with some raw fish here. But the salmon today is a steelhead salmon. Freshly caught and ready to be eaten. So we're gonna keep the skin on this salmon, as you wanna keep that flavor in the fish, but also the fat. All right, there we go. And let's see here, we're going to create a butter spread in just a moment after I slice some of this here. I'm gonna cut off some of this belly. You can save that for another day. I usually put it into like a really high salted mason jar and salt that really well, and eventually smoke it for smoked salmon crostinis or smoked salmon dip. But it's really very flavorful once you let it soak for a little while. All right, make these little fillets. So we've got one. There we go. All right. We've got 4 slices there. And now I will take these off and start mixing up our dill lemon butter that we're going to use today. Probably use for this amount of size serving, maybe half of the butter. There we go. And I'm going to grab a little bowl, or actually a plate, because there are some little scales. We don't want that on our butter. All right, so I'm gonna get some lemon here. We're gonna zest some lemon. And this will actually take a little bit more than we use for the broccolini. So I'll probably use about 1.5 lemon of zest, and then 1 whole lemon for the juice. And then here shortly, I will add in some dill for some flavor as well. All right. And tap it, there we go. And I'm gonna cut this in half, this lemon, and we'll juice, add a little bit of that juice in there. Take the seeds out. There we go. We're gonna mix this really, really well. Just make sure you get all the seeds out of the way. And add some dill. So here we've got some fresh dill. There are flowers on dill, just like the other herbs. And we're just gonna pull the green parts off, the actual herb. Just gonna put it in with the butter here. And we'll save the flowers for a fun, beautiful garnish for later. All right, now we're going to just kind of mash it together. And we're just kind of creating our own little butter. We're going to use this with the salmon, so that way it can maintain some flavor while it's roasting in the oven. All right, add a little bit of salt and we'll be good to go. There we go. All right, I have a baking sheet already ready right behind me. And we're going to put the salmon right on top of this baking sheet. There we go. Just space it out a little so that way they all cook evenly. And now we're just going to scoop in some of that butter. Just kind of lay it on top of the salmon. There we go. You can already smell the flavor that's about to get roasted here. Smells great. Very lemony. And there we have it. We're gonna put this in the oven for about 20-25 minutes and check on it, and then we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. So while that roasted salmon is getting roasted in the oven, we're gonna grab our pavlova that we kind of started with earlier and get that plated. All right, so here we go. We've got our pavlova. We made these little meringues. It's a hard shell. And we're just gonna put it out here Get off the baking sheet and then move into creating our whipped cream. We'll move right over here to this blender. We're going to add real cream, whipping cream, or 1 1/4 cup. And 1/2 cup of sugar. And a teaspoon of vanilla. There you go. And we are gonna get all plugged in. Make sure you're all plugged in. There we go. And we're gonna start off slow and then work our way up. All right, that was quick. Very, very fast. Let's test this out. All right, we're gonna whip it a little bit longer. Almost there. Not quite. All right, here we go. It's great. All right, we've got our plate right here, ready for us. We're gonna place our little pavlovas on this dish. Actually, I think we're gonna just do 3. All right, for now, and bring our fruit forward. We've got fresh blackberries, fresh raspberries, and some fresh blueberries. All right, this is very simple dessert. It's very fun. We're just putting our freshly whipped cream right on top of the pavlova shell, which is your meringue. You can be crazy and overzealous and put lots, or you can put little. Depends on what feels right at the time. I tend to like a little bit more. So, all right, there we go. And we're just gonna add some berries on top. We also have some fresh strawberries as well, right in here, that I'm gonna just do a quick little slice. You can be creative if you'd like, or you can just plop it on there, whatever feels good, and however much you'd like. If you like more berries or less berries, again, it's all about how you would like it. All right, and then we're going to top it off with some mint, which I believe is right over here. Got some fresh mint. There we go. This is coming together beautifully. Just kind of makes it just pop with some color. And we'll drizzle, whoops, with some honey as well. Get my little tablespoon. I'm gonna use the tip of it just so it can create a drizzle and not a huge glop. There we go. This was freshly created by some local honeybees where I'm from. This is what makes it really fun and unique working with a lot of farmers. You just have such a wide variety of all kinds of produce and honeys, and even chocolates or rice or flowers. It's really, really special and unique to be working with all the farmers I work with. So we are finished with our dessert, and we're just gonna decorate the plate just a little bit for fun. Add some more berries in there. That way your guests can either grab some extra while they're at it or not, but it can kind of give that variety if they so choose. Some more berries, blueberries. And we'll add some beautiful strawberries ready to go as well. to pop right into your mouth. Almost finished here. But as you can see, all these dishes, they're really fun, very colorful, and pretty easy. And there you go. There's our pavlova. And we'll be back once our salmon is all done. We're back. All right, the roasted salmon is finally complete. So we're gonna pull that out of the oven right now and start plating our dinner. Now, making sure that your salmon is actually indeed complete with cooking, you do want to use a thermometer and make sure it is at least 135 degrees to 142 degrees. And we are set. So here is our lovely salmon, all ready to be plated. I'm gonna put some arugula on the bottom of my plate just for color. Pop of color, and it kind of will absorb some of those juices from the salmon, but still be there, leaving plenty of flavor. And if you remember, we did leave that skin on, so we're just gonna kind of slowly lift that salmon up from that skin and away, giving us a beautiful fillet. There we go. There's one. It should slide right off. It's not very hard. You just want to make sure you're getting right above that skin. It's not really yummy friendly. There we go. Okay, we're just going to put these last two slices off to the side for now, while I bring in our other sides onto the plate. Our purple potatoes and our broccolini. Here we go. Now this is serving 2 people on this plate, kind of family style, which makes it kind of fun. And I'm going to grab this little spoon here. Now it's been a little bit since we had this cooked and warm, so I did pop it in the oven really fast for a quick warm up. But here's our delicious purple potatoes with some sauteed onion, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. That looks really delicious. And I'm just going to put a little bit over here just for fun. All right. And then we're going to take our thyme again, right here, with these cute little flowers. We're gonna add it to our dish. Pop of color, and these are edible, so no need to worry about eating them. And I will say, it's the tiny details that make a difference when you're plating. So things like this, it might take a couple extra minutes, but it's very well worth it. I do have what's called a green goddess dressing. I did pre-make this, but it is made with plain Greek yogurt, also some capers, and some tarragon, which is right here, and a little bit of salt, and some parsley. You blend those things all together, and it creates this amazing green goddess, along with some lemon juice as well. We're gonna add that right on top, let it drizzle down. And let's get some dill. Fresh dill is always a good thing. These things you do need to take care of when you do get them from the farm. Keeping them in the refrigerator is what they love, and it'll help keep them from drying out if you wrap it in a nice, cool, damp paper towel. All right, add a little bit more. Here's one cute little dill. And then we'll top it off with a little bit of Maldon salt. Maldon salt is a bigger flake salt. You don't want too much, but it also looks really pretty on your dish. And that, my friends, is your roasted salmon with purple potatoes and broccolini. And we will be back to recap all of these amazing dishes in just a moment. All right, and we're back. Thanks again for joining me today. We have our amazing dishes that you've been a part of today. We have our mushroom crostini, and then our roasted salmon and purple potatoes with broccolini. And then we have our dessert, our pavlova dessert with delicious fresh fruit. Again, today is brought to you by your local farmers, and that is what I am all about. I'm Heaven Struthers with Terra Tovela Table. We are farm-to-table catering and bringing something very delicious and special to you. You can reach us at www.terratovela, that's TerraTovela.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Terra Tovela Catering, as well as Facebook. And that's what we have today for you. Hope to see you soon.